So this is lecture 9, and before your final lecture, I think this one lecture is very important. Just to remind you that your graduation is not just about your thesis. Apart from that, you have to submit around 6 to 7 more files. It includes maybe the thesis proposal, your midterm inspection report, and the thesis feedback forms, and 2D drawings or your design files, and some documents from your supervisors or some documents from the defense board. So a lot of things include, and all of them before and after your defense. Also, there are some deliverables. All of them you need to include in the CV, as well as there are some process on how to name the files, how to send the emails, and how to prepare the cover. So all these things I'll be covering in this lecture. So the first thing is, I think, naming the file, which is very important. If you send the file in wrong name format, that's like I can't track them, because there are a lot of measures from bachelor and from masters. So when you rename the file for all of them, you see there are certain serial numbers, and then the Chinese name, then your student ID, then also your Chinese name, sorry, the Chinese name for the file, and then your student ID, and then your Chinese name, and all of them are in PDF file, not Word format, because as you know, like Word format can change the formatting in another computer, which is not the same version as yours, maybe. So always submit all the files in PDF, even when you submit me the thesis feedback form. So when renaming the file or naming the file, you should rename according to this, your major, and then your student ID, your Chinese name. And when making the zip file, the final zip file should also be like that, your major, your student ID, and then the Chinese name. So the detailed instructions will be given as notice later, but just keep in mind this thing. So the serial number will be also given in a paper later in notice, and you will be just copying the Chinese name as this, and then the English name here just for your reference. These are the files, and I wrote here like some of these files you will be receiving from your supervisor, like this one. This is task book, application form, which we'll be seeing after short time, the midterm inspection report, and then also the graduation assessment form, which is basically like your supervisor will be assessing your performance in this last 4 months, what you have been working with her or him. So these four documents you'll receive from the supervisor, and then this one, thesis defense comments, which is basically you'll be asking some questions from the defense board. So there will be, let's say, 5 or 6 professors. They will be watching your defense. They will ask you some questions. So you will have to remember those questions, and they will give you a form, and then write those questions and answers in that form and then submit it. So this will be actually given in the defense board. So basically you have to work on thesis report, which you are currently working on, and then this drawing, if you are from mechanical aeronautics and you are working with design, then you have to submit the design and simulation files and the engineering drawing, and also you have to submit the thesis proposal and also the plagiarism check report. So these are the 4 things you need to submit, and rest of the things will be given by your supervisor, and another one is from the defense board. So the serial should maintain like this serial. The name should follow this Chinese name, and your student ID and Chinese name. Just keep in mind this one. So the next part is, after, let's say, you have all those files, and then you are done with the naming, you have to make a zip file and put that zip file in the CD, which you get from the supermarket in campus. You put all those files in the CD, and then also you have to, final one task is print the final thesis in color format before submitting it to the your faculty. It can be for aeronautical students, aeronautics building, for mechatronics in mechanical building. So you submit the final thesis in the faculty. So the cover, it depends. It can be blue or red among this. So last semester it was blue. This semester it will be red. And you go to the supermarket and show the picture. They will print it for you. It's like a book. So that's what I mentioned here. Your thesis cover you get from the supermarket, and also it need to be color printed and bound like a book. So about all these things, you will receive more details in the thesis. as noticed later on. Now I just want to show you shortly all the files I talked about. So this one here, the first file, which is application form, which is given by your supervisor. So this one you don't need to think about, your supervisor will provide you later. So in case you don't receive it, I will share these files later in the group, so you can just send it to your supervisor and your supervisor will send you later. But make sure you get them before your defense or after your defense, before the final submission to your faculty. So this one also provided by your supervisor, and make sure all of them are signed and the date is correct. Then the third document is thesis proposal, which you have to prepare it and then get signature from your supervisor and also your signature. And this one also you have to do it and make sure they have signature. The fifth one is for engineering students. It's not must for everyone. Just confirm with your supervisor if you need to submit it. Number 6 is plagiarism report, which we have seen in last lecture. This one will be provided by your supervisor, which is the mark sheet, like the assessment for your thesis, which will be also provided by a supervisor. And number 8 is the defense questions I told about. Like, let's say all students are asked maybe 2, 3, or 5 questions. So you basically have to write 5 questions and their answers, and then scan it and submit it with you with the signatures. And number 9 is the thesis itself. So these are basically all the documents you need to submit for your graduation. So just keep in mind that your graduation thesis is not the only thing you have to focus on. You have some other files that also make sure you prepare correctly, like the proposal, the midterm inspection report, and the defense comment, these things. And also the final touch, like the cover and the binding, and sending and submitting them properly with the correct name, so that you don't make mistake with the naming and submission. So that's all for this lecture. In the next lecture, we'll be talking about the sections which are most important, like introduction, conclusion, the literature review writing style, and then acknowledgement section. So these sections, along with the abstract, also some of the contents outline, how to make, how to work with them, what are the best practices to follow to make them best fit with your overall thesis. So we'll be covering all these things in the next lecture. Till then, stay safe.